You may have heard that people do one of two things: move away from pain. Maybe this is a time you've had some pain. Or they move towards pleasure. And this week I want to show you some of the pleasures, as many as I could think of, the pleasures of having your orchard or planting. Stay tuned. You may have put in your orchard because you say, well, I want the food. And the food is, it's a good reason. Go ahead. But I want to point out there's other reasons that you will benefit from. You start off with the idea of, I want food. But you will learn there's other things. Even though it's not the season, where there is flowers, there is the hope of fruit. Listen to those bumblebees in here. So being able to walk at another season and enjoy the food you get from this. And the food can start early, even though this is, I see rhubarb here. So the rhubarb, I see garlic chives, so we use them in the kitchen right away as soon as the season starts. The food is, you say, well, that's the reason why I planted. Well, maybe it is the reason why you planted, and good for you that you did plant for that reason. Some of this wasn't even garlic chives, it was a grass that grew in among the garlic chives. Even the work involved. The work should be a pleasure. If the work is a chore and it's work, then will you really persevere in it? Will you maintain it for years? Certainly enjoying the flowers. And you can hear the bumblebees as well. That's a joy. It lasts just a short time. Apple trees, in this case, they're blooming, last at most 10 days from beginning to end. And an individual tree is more like 6 days, 7 days. So enjoy it while it lasts. And yes, certainly take time to smell not the roses, but the rosaceae, but the flowers. And apples are in our climate, are one of the few that really give just a beautiful smell. There's others later on. The black locust is incredible. But take time to smell the flowers. That's an important point. I always like, in the morning, I get up early and I really like to watch birds. And there's a house wren. I see some sparrows. There's all kinds of birds. I use an app called eBird, and it's a great way for me to track year-to-year changes. Having a baseline is great. And then knowing, hey, we're getting this new species, that new species. So being able to record the changes and what birds are coming in because of your efforts, whether your efforts are putting up nest boxes, whether it's planting more diversity, being able to know, it's paying off, it's working, there are more birds. That's an important point, and I like to bird watch anyway, so that's a good excuse. Another point is just having a walk. I like to come out early. Sometimes it's not to bird watch, sometimes it's not to smell the flowers, it's just to walk in the cool of the morning like Adam did and talk with God. And so whatever you like to basically replenish your energy, whatever it is you do yoga, you meditate, whatever it is, go into the orchard, go in among the trees. There is an energy there that you can really tap into. And then it just gives you a desire to take on the day in a greater way. Another pleasure is newness. I like new. Not new in the sense of buy new things, but just to experience and do new things, and especially in the orchard to try new things. So here's a mulberry. It's a big deal, mulberry. Well, mulberries don't grow wild very much here. And so we put this in a few years ago, and getting it to come out, and it's not producing fruit this year, but hopefully next year. So having that something to look forward to, that it will produce, and it'll be great to see once it is in fruit. Aronia berries. What's diversity? So you may say, oh, well, here's an I don't even know what kind of apple that is. It's Prima. And this year it's not flowering. But it's okay. Oh, it is flowering a little bit. Anyway, just trying new cultivars, trying new apples, trying something that you don't have. Maybe you're a collector. If you're a collector, watch out, be careful, or have a lot of land. Because once you start collecting fruit of different types, oh my goodness. If some of you say, oh yeah, my wife is a collector or my husband's a collector, maybe having an orchard is not the right strategy, because once you start and you just go, oh yeah, I want this one and I want that one. Oh, and there's this one. And you know many types of apples, you know how many cultivars there are in the world? Just named, there's over 10,000 named cultivars of apples in the world. And so, do you really want to start collecting so that you go, oh, well, I did in the beginning. I started with a lot, and I've been whittling down how many I have, because I want to keep the ones that really do well here. And so if you collect, realize that you may do a selection process. You can collect and have a lot of different ones, and then choose the ones that do best. So collecting cultivars can be a pleasure. It can get away from you, be careful. But it is a pleasure to have something new, especially after the work has been done, after you've planted, and when you begin to harvest, and then you go, oh, here's a new one. Just like for me, I get excited when I see a new bird because of the orchard. So when we get some new species coming in that hasn't been here before, to me, that's exciting. I know that the biodiversity and all the changes that we're doing. And look at those rain. Look at that band of rain clouds. It's sunny here, but it looks like rain is coming. So actually seeing the weather is a pleasure. It's not meant, you're not working indoors here, you're working outdoors. And because you're working outdoors, you will experience the changes of the weather. You will experience how this is starting mosquito season. And so far it's been pretty good because we've had a dry spring. But that could be something that you'll enjoy. Well, you'll enjoy the changes of the season. And seasons are important. Another pleasure is the satisfaction of work that you've done, sometimes years ago. Here's a plum. It's a green gauge plum, and it just flowered here last week. But this plum I've put in probably 6 or 7 years ago. For some reason it hasn't grown very fast or very much. But finally this year it flowered a bit. Whether it will produce, we'll see. But that's a real pleasure, is that just, it's satisfying to know that what you did, and we're not talking radish with trees. This isn't 30 days, it's sometimes years. So you plant a tree, you plant a shrub, and it can be a long time before you get to enjoy the fruit of your labor. So that satisfaction in past work is a real pleasure. We have members come and pick, and a pleasure is really watching their reaction, seeing them enjoy. And when you see people, "Oh, I have never picked any of these before or eaten these," or you have them try it, and just to see them experience it, that's a real pleasure. Seeing people enjoy that which you are growing. If you're growing something and it just sells to some faraway market, but you don't get the appreciation of seeing the people enjoy what you are growing, you're really missing out on something. That direct selling is important. You say, "Well, I don't want to grow it to sell." That's okay. What are you going to do? Maybe you're the only one who will enjoy it. Maybe you will share it with your family and friends. But seeing people's reaction to the food that you've produced from your plot or your land or your orchard or your farm, that is a great pleasure. Knowing that people are eating something that is wholesome and healthy that you've contributed to. So enjoy the pleasure of watching people enjoy what you have grown. One of my pleasures is seeing the work that is done, not by me, not by us, but by them. Here they come, and we move them through the orchard, and they do the work in here. They love to scratch. Good morning, girls. And they love to produce fruit. So this is all work that they did, preparing and maintaining the orchard rows so that, well, there's a lot less work that we have to do in here. And then now they're in this one. And in a few days, or today, they'll be actually in the next area. And so on, moving through. What are you going to do with this when down the road, whether when you pass away, whether you retire, whatever? What's your plan for the orchard? Well, maybe you have one. Maybe you're leaving it to other people. Maybe you're leaving it to your kids. Maybe you're going to sell it. All of those apply for me. I don't know which one is going to be the result, but it's nice to know that the work that you've done to get this up and running, it's not going to stop when you stop. An orchard like this can go on for easily 30 years, 50 years, maybe even 100 years. I'd like to know that all the work I've done to get these trees up and running will be around in 100 years. Maybe the composition will be a little different. Maybe some of these trees, like plum trees, they're not usually trees to live 100 years, but there's other trees that will take their place. And so that whole perennity, I don't know if that's the word, that just it will live on after you is an important pleasure for your long term. Another pleasure is the sharing of the orchard, of the ideas of the orchard with other people. So I guess I'm an educator at heart. I like for people to understand and progress and learn in a certain aspect. And this orchard is intended for people to learn about nature, about growing food, about growing trees, orchard, and just sharing it. So the sharing of the education part of it for me is first of all, the interns and apprentices is the people who learn, whether it's you through the videos, so sharing of it through video, the film, the permaculture orchard, all the courses. I do courses, a lot of courses, whether it's online or in person in many places. So all those sharing of information is really the result of the orchard. So I've shared with you my pleasures, what I get out of this orchard. I want you to put down in the comments what are your greatest expected pleasures? What do you expect? You say, oh yeah, no, I'm doing it for this reason or that reason. Let me know. I want to know what else are pleasures that I haven't even thought about that you can derive from your permaculture orchard or planting.
Just to sit on the patio, enjoy the blooming from the trees, watch all the animals around. Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Intrigued? Check out the virtual tour of the permaculture orchard. Have trees already? Pruningcourse.com. Subscribe, please. Check out some of the other videos or playlists. There's more to come. Stay tuned. Bye. Where there is fruit, where there is